welcome our channel GK Phobia. Please share, subscribe and like. Today topic is all important committee and commission in India. So first committee S.K. Dhar 1948 Linguistic Provinces Commission. Next JVP committee. JVP full form is Jawaharlal Nehru Vallabhbhai Patel Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, founded in 1948. To consider the recommendation of the Dhar Commission, this committee also rejected the linguistic factor of recognition of the state. Next commission, Fazal Ali Commission, 1953 December, to visit the whole question of whether the basis of separation of states can be considered or not. Next committee, Soran Singh Committee, 1976, Fundamental Duties. Next committee, L.M. Singhvi Committee, to study the problems faced by Panchayat Raj institutions. 1/3 of SC/ST reservation collectors will be the head of Jila Parishad. Next committee, Ajay Chibbar, 2015, Niti Aayog Commission. Next, Kaka Kelkar Commission, January 1953, First Backward Class Commission. Next committee, P.V. Rajamannar Committee, September 1969, Center-State Relationship Inquiry Committee. Next, Sarkaria Commission, 1983, to examine the central-state relationship. Next committee, K. Santhanam Committee, when 1962, Anti-Corruption. B.G. Kher. Next committee, B.G. Kher, 1955, why First Official Language Commission. Next, Kapoor Committee, 1966, why inquiry into the conspiracy to murder Gandhiji. Next committee, Nanavati Mehta Commission, when 6 March 2002, why to problem the Godhara train burning incident of 27 February 2002. Its mandate was later enlarged to include the investigations of the 2002 Gujarat riots. Next, Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, when January 1957, why to examine the working of the Community Development Program 1952 and the National Extension Service 1953. Next committee, Ashok Mehta Committee, 1977 December, why Panchayat Raj institution recommends 3-tier systems of Panchayati Raj should be replaced by the 2-tier system. Next commission, B.P. Mandal Commission, 1st January 1979, why Socially and Educationally Backward Classes Commission, 27% reservations for OBC, 2nd Backward Classes Commission. Very important. The B.P. Mandal Commission is the 2nd Backward Classes Commission. Next, Mudiman Committee, when 1920, why to inquiry about diarchy instituted by the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. Next, B.N. Kirpal Commission, 2003, why First National Forest Commission, short form is NFC. Next, L.C. Gupta Committee, when 18th November 1996, why Development and Regulation of Derivative Markets in India. Next, Bhanu Pratap Singh Committee, when 1964, why Agriculture. Next, Soli Sorabji, when? October 2005. Why established? Police Act Drafting Committee. Short form is PADC. Next commission, M.N. Vohra. When? 1977. Why is established? Criminalization of politics. Next committee, S. Padmanabhan Committee. When? 1995. Why? To take a fresh look at the banking supervision. Next, Dinesh Goswami Committee. When? 1990. Why? Electoral reforms. Next, Malhotra Committee. When? 1993. And why? Insurance sector reforms. Next, Lakhdwal Committee. When? 1989. And why is established? To consider methodological and computational aspect of estimations of proportion and number of poor in India. Next committee, Dantwal Committee, 1978. Why established? It's identified the remoteness of planning agencies at the district level from the grassroots as the major weakness of local area planning, recommends block level planning. Next, Bhagwati Committee, 1973. Why? Unemployment, very important. Bhagwati Committee. Next, Ramanandan Committee. When? 1993. Why? To identify the creamy layer among the OBC. Very important. Ramananda Committee for OBC. Creamy layer among the OBC. Next, Raja Chellai Committee. When? 1999 to 1993. This is for tax reforms. Very important. So Raja Chellai Committee famous for tax reforms. Next, Raghuram Rajan Committee. When? 2007. And famous for financial sector reforms. Next, Abid Hussain Committee. Trade Policy Reforms Small Scale Industry. Next, Kothari Commission. Very important. 1964 to 1966. Famous for National Education Commission. Very important. Kothari Commission famous for National Education Commission. Next, Lingodho Committee, 2006. Famous for to examine student election in universities. Next, First Narasimha Committee. Very important. When? 1991. This is famous for financial system. Next, Second Narasimha Commission. When? 1992. This famous for progress review of the implementations of the banking reforms. Next, Gadgil Committee. Very important. When? 2011. Western Ghat Ecology Expert Panel. Full form is WGEEP. Next, Kasturi Ranjan Committee, 2013. Famous for Western Ghats. Next, Moraji Desai, then Hanuman Thaya. Famous for 5th January 1966. This is famous for First Administrative Reforms Commission. Next, Bhirappa Moili and V. Ramachandran. When? 2004. This Second Administrative Reforms Commission. Next, Avijit Sen Committee, 2002. Famous for long-term food policy. Next, Abid Hussain Committee. Famous for on small scale industries. Next, Ajit Kumar Committee. Famous for army pay scale. Next, Atheria Committee. Famous for restructuring of IDBI. Next, Basel Committee, Banking Supervision. Next, Bhurelal Committee, famous for increase in motor vehicle tax. Next, Bimal Jalan Committee, famous for to decide the appropriate level of reserves that the RBI should hold. Next, C. Babu Rajiv Committee, reforms in Ship Act 1908 and Ship Trust Act 1963. Next, C. Rangarajan Committee, famous for to review the methodology for measurement of poverty. Next, Chandrasekhar Committee, famous for venture capital. Next, Chandratree Committee Report 1997, famous for security analysis and investment management. Next, Chore Committee is famous for review the operations of the cash credit system. Next, Dev Committee 2000. This is famous for pension scheme for unorganized sector. Next, Deepak Parekh Committee, famous for to financing infrastructures through PP model. Next, Dhanuka Committee, simplification of transfer rules in security markets. Next, GV Ramakrishna Committee, famous for on disinvestment. Next, Goiporia Committee, famous for improvement in the customer service at primary cooperative banks, urban level. Next, Hanumant Rao Committee, famous for fertilizer, very important. Next, G.R. Verma Committee, famous for current account carry forward practice. Next, Janki Raman Committee, famous for securities transactions. Next, J.J. Irani Committee, famous for company law reforms. Next, Keshi Chakraborty Committee, famous to analyze the financial conditions of the regional rural banks in India. Next, K. Kosturi Ranjan to head drafting committee of national education policy, very important. Next, Kelkar Committee 2002 tax structure reform. Next, Khushro Committee, famous for agriculture credit system. Next, Kumarammangal Birla report, famous for corporate governance. Next, MB Shaha Committee to investigate black money mostly holded abroad. Next, Mahajan Committee 1997, famous for sugar industry. Next, Melgam Committee, reforms in the primary market repositioning of UTI. Reforms in the primary market and repositioning of UTI. Next, Marathi Committee, recommendation for urban cooperative banks. Next, Maselkar Committee 2002, famous for auto fuel policy. Next, McKinsey report, famous for merger of 7 associate banks with SBI. Next, Mera Seth Committee, famous for development of handlooms. Next, Nachiket More Committee, famous for committee on comprehensive financial service for small businesses and low income households. Next, Narasimha Committee 1991, famous for banking sector reforms. Next, N.N. Vora Committee, famous for relations nexus of politicians with criminals. Next, Parekh Committee, famous for infrastructure financing. Next, Parsi Mistry Committee, famous for making Mumbai an international financial center. Next, Prasad Panel, famous for international trade and service. Next, Radhakrishna Commission 1948, establishment of the University Grant Commission. Next, R.V. Gupta Committee, famous for small savings. Next, Rekhi Committee, famous for indirect tax. Next, R.V. Gupta Committee, agriculture credit. Next, K. Santhanam Committee, famous for establishment of CBI, very important. K. Santhanam Committee, famous for establishment of CBI. Next, SP Talwar Committee, restructuring of weak public sector bank. Next, Suraj Tendulkar Committee, famous for redefining poverty line and its calculation formula. Next, Saptarishi Committee, when July 2002, famous for development of domestic tea industry. Next, Shah Committee, famous for reforms relating to non-banking financial companies, NFBCS. Next, Sibram Committee, when 1979, famous for establishment of NABARD, very very important. So Sibram Committee famous for establishment of NABARD. Remember this. Next, S.N. Verma Committee, when 1999, famous for restructuring the commercial bank. Next, Swaminathan Commission, 2004, famous for to find the problems faced by the farmers. Next, Sukhomoy Chakraborty Committee, famous for to assess the functioning of the Indian monetary system. To access the functioning of the Indian monetary system. Next, Tendon Committee, famous for system of working capital financing by banks. Next, Tarapur Committee, when 1997, famous for reports on capital account convertibility. Next, Udesh Kohli Committee, analyze fund requirement in power sector. Next, UK Sharma Committee, famous for NABARD's role. UK Sharma Committee, famous for NABARD's role in RRB. Next, Bhagul Committee, famous for money market in India. Next, Vasudev Committee, NBFC sector reforms. Next, YB Reddy Committee, when 2001, and famous for review of income tax rebates. Next, Justice A.K. Mathur Commission, famous for 7th Pay Commission. Very very important. So Justice A.K. Mathur Commission, famous for 7th Pay Commission. If you like this video, please share, subscribe and comment. And thank you for watching.